Hey everyone, my name's Alexandra and I am a watercolor artist. I have been thinking about ways to spruce up my home and studio and thought how cute would it be to paint a collection of paintings that you can put on your wall. So today we are going to be doing part 1 of 3 simple DIY prints for your home. I have designed these so that truly anybody can do them, anyone can paint them. I want to show you guys how easy it is to paint super simple yet beautiful watercolor prints that you can customize to your home and to your decor. Also, if there's a certain style that you want to see in the future, leave me a comment below and let me know. Let's get started. For supplies today, you guys will need 2 cups of water. I have 1 for clean, 1 for dirty water. A napkin for drying my paintbrushes. For paintbrushes today, I'm using Opus Allegro's numbers 10 and 6 rounds, as well as a 1/2-inch flat brush. For paint, I have Art, Philosophy & Co.'s Decadent Pies palette. And lastly, for paper, I'm using 140-pound cold press watercolor paper. I have mine cut to size 8 by 10 to fit into my frame. So the idea for this painting is that we're painting sort of abstract looking flowers. So I'm actually going to use a pencil as my guide, and I'm just going to draw a really light circle on my page to show where my first flower is going to be, and then we're going to work our way around it. So starting with my large paintbrush, I want mine to be a brighter painting, so I'm going to go into sort of this coral color that I have. And I am simply going to follow that general shape of my circle, and I'm going to paint a petal. So I'm going to have it coming in towards the center, and we're just going to fill it in. While it's wet, I want to add in some more color to get a really nice mix. And I'm just going to continue to work my way around using the circle as a guide. As I did here, I don't mind if you guys leave some white space in there. And we're just going to paint these really fun, large petals all the way around. Now I'm going to do my 5th petal over here. I want to make sure to leave enough white space so that I can paint a stem in there. And I'm adding in some of that darker paint while it's still wet. I'm working outside today and it's getting warmer, so I noticed that everything is drying so much faster. But that's okay, we'll add in some color there and just give it a little bit more depth and interest. Perfect, okay. So now that that's done, we are going to go in and paint our stem. So going in to my green paint here, I want to go for a really bright and summery look for these prints. I am going to start from where this white space is, and I'm just pulling my brush down in a line all the way to the edge of my paper. I'm going to give you guys a drawing guide for this painting as well, but with something like this, it's really fun to just have fun with it. It's sort of an abstract painting with also some more specific shapes to it. So it's one that if your guys' looks completely different than mine, then that is totally fine. So now I'm going to paint another leaf to kind of connect to this flower, starting with the tip of my paintbrush down, applying pressure as I pull back, and then I'm lifting off as I come close to that main stem that I did. So now I'm going to do the same thing on second side. And I'm gonna do another one over here, sort of curving it around my petal. And I kind of have this one running into my stem, but that is okay. So now that I've done those ones, I want to mix a little bit of a brighter blue. And I realize my brighter blue is in one of my other palettes, so I'm just gonna switch it out. So I'm just gonna mix my brighter blue with my navy. And I'm going to go ahead and paint another flower sort of in this corner here. So I'm following that same shape that I did for my first one. And I'm using my tape as my guide. Once I peel it, we're gonna get some really nice clean lines on the edge there. And if I have any lines that are sort of rough like I do here, I can just go in and smooth them out. So now that I've done one blue flower here, I'm going to do the exact same thing up in the top corner here. And I just want to balance out all my colors across my page. And the main idea with this type of abstract painting is that you're going to try to fill in as many of the white spaces as you can with some sort of shape or object. So now that we've done that, I've got some blue on my peach paint here. I'm just gonna clean it off and we are gonna paint a peachy flower. So for this one specifically, I'm going to have it look sort of like it's opening up in this gap here. So I'm going with a little bit of a different style of petal. They have pointed tips, and I'm going to paint my second one as if it starts over the tape, and I'm connecting it at the bottom here. I'm going to add a third spot in the middle there, but I just want to let it dry a little bit first. So while that dries, we can do another one down over here. I'm starting with the tip of my paintbrush down, applying pressure as I pull back. And I'm being careful to leave that white space in the center there. Now I can stick another little one in this corner here. And I'm putting the tips of my flower to just kind of fill in where the white space is. So now that this one is more dry, I can go in and paint my third petal. I want to make sure it's dry in case any of my paint overlaps, just so it doesn't bleed into itself. So same with this one here, but I'm going to angle my petal that way a bit just to make sure that I'm keeping it in that white space. The next thing I want to do is just keep carrying this kind of coral color through. So we're going to add in a few more flower shapes with this color. I'm doing the same thing I did with my blue flower by having it sort of going over the edge of my paper. What I sometimes do for these types of paintings is I'll draw just a bunch of shapes in like I did with this circle, and then I will just use my imagination to fill them in with whatever I want. So for example, I would have a circle here, maybe a triangle here, and then you just work your way around the paper filling in the shapes, and you end up with really beautiful sort of abstract but not art. Just gonna stick some in the corner there and in the corner here. Now I want to make the blue carry around the page a bit more, so I'm going to put another blue flower on the left hand side here. All right, so now that everything is pretty full, we're gonna go in with our smaller paintbrush and just fill in the space with some leaves. I wanna switch it up from that bright green color just a little bit, so I'm gonna mix a touch of blue into my mossy green. And wherever I see an empty space, I'm gonna put the tip of my paintbrush down, apply pressure as I pull back, and we're just gonna paint in some leaves. And if I want, I can even carry the stem through to continue filling some of those white spaces. And I'm just looking wherever I can see sort of a gap with white, I will fill it in with a leaf. All right, so at this point, I definitely could keep going and add more details, but I want to leave it super simple so that when I paint my next two prints that go with this set, it's all very elegant and cohesive. And then at the end, I can always decide if I want to add more details. But for now, we're gonna leave it at this for our abstract floral painting and our first DIY print of 3. Thanks so much for following along. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like the video and subscribe to Alexandra Victoria Studio by clicking the bell button. This really helps me as I continue to make tutorials for you guys. Also, I love to see your paintings. If you followed along, please share it with me on Instagram at Alexandra Victoria Studio. And I will see you guys for part 2 of DIY prints.